The member for Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Over the past week, we've seen riots on the streets of Paris, which started over the French government's plans to increase their despised carbon tax on the price of petrol and diesel. France's carbon tax is set to rise from €44.6 in 2008 to €55 next year, all the way up to €100 by the year 2030. And the increase in this carbon tax will boost the price of petrol next year by 3.9 euro cents per litre and 7.6 euro cents per litre for diesel. Deputy Speaker, the question is, what we are seeing on the streets of Paris, could it happen here? Well, Mr Speaker, if we look at Labor's policies, under a future Labor government, I hate to say it, that I think there is a true risk of what we're seeing on the streets of France happening here. Labor have stated that they have a policy of a 45% economy-wide emissions reduction target. So forget electricity for the moment. Forget the wind turbines and the solar panels, because electricity only contributes less than 1/3 of Australia's CO2 equivalent emissions. Australia's transport sector contributes 18%. Breaking that down, Deputy Speaker, further, of that 18%, passenger cars are 44%, light commercial vehicles 16%, buses 2%, rigid trucks 9%, articulated trucks 14%, and domestic aviation 9%. So the question is, how are the Labor Party going to achieve a 45% emissions reduction target in the transportation sector by 2030? And remembering that 45% reduction target is off 2005 levels. Off today's levels, it's actually a 55% reduction target. How are Labor going to do this? Even if we took every single passenger car off the roads and we took every single aeroplane out of the sky, that would still not be enough to meet Labor's 55% reduction of today's levels. Mr Speaker, the question is, and the concern is, that the Labor Party have plans for a carbon tax on the price of petrol to achieve their targets. In 2013, the Climate Change Authority estimated that a 45% emissions reduction target, exactly what is proposed by Labor, would require a carbon tax of $135 per tonne. That would add 40 cents a litre to the price of petrol. So under Labor's proposals, unless they can come up and explain what they're going to do, every time someone goes to fill up at the Bowser, they will be paying 40 cents a litre under Labor's proposals. I have a car that does about 70 litres that fills it up. That would cost me, what, $28 additional, extra in carbon tax under the Labor Party's policy. This is what the economy is facing, Speaker. And the other policies of Labor to get this target. We know that they talked about having new emission standards, but the Australian Automobile Association has warned that this can only increase the price of new vehicles. Increasing the price of new vehicles simply means that people will hold on to their older cars longer, making road safety less safe, adding to the costs of every single household budget. Labor's target, of course, is 105 grams of CO2 for every kilometre. To put that into some context, our current average fleet is 188 grams per kilometre. To get down to 105, Speaker, to give you an idea, a Mini Cooper has 125 grams of CO2 per kilometre. And the tiny Holden Spark, a tiny two-door, would still be above Labor's target of 136 grams per kilometre. Deputy Speaker, I may be wrong, but it is time that Labor spelled out what their policies are, how they're going to do, what carbon taxes they're going to add to the price of petrol, so can voters know.